I would like you guys all to meet Dank DeMoss.
Damn! Bro, I know when she walked the ground screaming. Yeah, what the hell is that?
I can fit in that lift. Watch this. Uh-oh, there goes gravity.
I just be laughing my way to the bank.
Use your a little bit.
Yeah, looks like he's not gonna make it to that bank. Tragic. Alright, we are talking about fat waifus. And I want to make one thing clear. I did not make this video to fat shame or because I hate fat people. I do not hate fat people. I'm just gonna say that right now because I know people are sensitive. However, unlike some, I do think there are many cons to hooking up with an overweight chick. Now, there are levels to this shit. For instance, if you can't see her feet, there may be a problem there. Or maybe not for some guys. Maybe you like them big. I once knew a guy while I was in the military who always said she gotta be 2 something to do something. Now, what did he mean by that? He like them big. Mans love being squashed. Now, if that's you, you go ahead and pick up them big girls. You better be strong. That couldn't be me though. I'm strong, but I ain't that damn strong. Anyway, I want to talk about fat waifus because I realize, at least in anime and most of fiction, there's not many fat waifus who are considered attractive to really talk about. I mean, think about this real quick. How many women do you see in anime, Marvel, comics, DC comics, any kind of sort of fiction who's attractive and can be considered overweight? I found some myself, at least in anime, but for the most part, they don't exist. And I think the reason for this is very obvious, so I'll just say my opinion first before I get to the facts. They're mostly seen as unattractive. I know, right? Shocking. But to be honest, this should shock no one, because even in reality, fat women are generally not as attractive as someone who is in shape, or at least of average weight. And again, I know someone will hear me say that, or some people listening to right now will hear me say that, and feel like I'm being fat phobic. And to be honest with you, I will always have the fear of being squashed by a fat person, so if you mean that kind of fat phobic, then yes. But no, seriously, I understand y'all big girls, man. Let me tell you my story. I too, in the past, was fat. Oh yes. I had a stomach in my front and my back, with no ass. This was during my middle school years. During the summertime, I apparently ate too many honey buns from the gas station. You know, the ice honey buns you can get from the gas station for like $2? Yeah, I ate a lot of those almost every day for most of the summertime. And I ended up getting a lot of weight. You know what the weird thing is for me though? When I was fat, people called me fat. You know what I'm saying? Everyone called me fat. People laughed at me, called me fat, told me I had a stomach in my front and my back. I felt humiliated. I felt really ashamed. Like, real talk. This was one of the first times in my life where I was ever ashamed of my body. And during this time period, there was no group of people online or a community of people in the real world that was saying, oh, you shouldn't fat shame this kid because he's fat. He's fine that way, you know? Yeah, that never happened for me. When I was fat, everyone called me fat. And nothing changed until I decided to lose weight. I stopped eating honey buns. I stopped eating cake. I stopped drinking soda and Pop-Tarts. I was still a kid, so I couldn't afford to go to the gym, but I asked my dad to buy me a $100 weight set for the house. And I started working out every single day for hours. I became obsessed with working out. I became so obsessed with working out that it about became a mental issue for me. There was nothing else that I wanted to do during that time period, you know, during my high school time period and my middle school time period, but work out. I joined the wrestling and boxing team in my school and learned how to fight. I needed an outlet because basically what was happening was I was angry. No one ever called me and lied to me and told me, oh, you look good fat. No, they said I look fat and they made me feel bad about it to the point where I got angry. And eventually I lost so much weight and gained so much muscle that they stopped calling me fat and started calling me swole. And my point is, being told the truth helped me. Being body shamed, as mean as it was, helped me become better. So when I hear someone say, don't fat shame or don't body shame, I think about my past and I think about other guys who are fat, and I think, where was all this fat shaming, body positivity nonsense when I was fat? And why is, when body positivity is talked about, it's only weight, and usually the weight of a female, not a male. Also, no one's ashamed to talk about a man's height, but talking about a female's weight is off limits. Okay, I just feel like when it comes to body positivity, people are hypocrites. But it is what it is, and if I can lose weight and get the body that I wanted, then you can too, male or female. You just gotta want to do it. Anyway, moving on. Obviously, you can smash a fat waifu. But is it wise to smash a fat waifu? Obviously, the biggest con when it comes to this type of waifu is health. And now keep in mind, we are talking about the extreme version of this issue. So when I say fat, I really do mean obese. Not like a little chubby, I mean generally overweight. And just so you're not confused, I also don't mean thick with 2 C's. Now I know there may be some opinions about this, but technically, being fat and being thick are 2 different things. Now, being thick with 2 C's generally implies a curvier body shape with pronounced curves, and it's mostly seen as something positive, while being fat is typically used to describe a larger body size with a higher percentage of body fat, and by society it's usually looked at negatively. So just to make it more clear, this is what you would consider fat, and this is what you would consider thick. I know it's a little obvious, but believe it or not, some people cannot tell the difference. Some overweight women call themselves thick, and some thick women believe they're fat. And I'm here to tell you right now, they're not the same. Now, you may be asking yourself, what are the health conditions that would cause me not to want to get freaky with an overweight chick? And well, believe it or not, from what I read, there's something called female sexual dysfunction. Now, female sexual dysfunction is described as a disorder of desire, arousal, orgasm, pain, lubrication, and satisfaction in females. There's also a concern with diabetes. Apparently, if an obese woman has diabetes, it can impair the blood flow and sensation in her genitals due to nerve and blood vessel damage. Now, from what I'm getting from this, is that the act of getting freaky with her won't feel very good for you or her. And again, this is in an extreme case of obesity. Now, for a woman's weight to be considered obese, her BMI or body mass index needs to be over 30 or higher. And body mass index usually takes into account a person's height and weight. So depending on her height and weight can determine whether she's obese or not. Now, let me correct myself. I have read that females with these issues can still feel pleasure from the act. However, it would still be with discomfort. I also found a study online that talks about obesity and female sexual dysfunction. And it states this, hopefully it'll be more clear. The relationship between obesity and female sexual dysfunction is not consistent across all studies. While women with obesity are more likely to have worse sexual dysfunction and avoid sexual activity, many studies have failed to identify these associations. Now, long story short, these issues are a problem for obese women. Now, will it stop you from smashing? If you're still attracted to her, no. And whether she's wise to smash or not depends completely on the man himself. Now, if the man's trying to stay with her long term, I would say no. But short term, sure, why not? We all know there are plenty of Americans who are obese anyway and still have relationships. However, there is one more con that I would like to bring to your attention.
I'm about to melt down. I hate you for doing this to me, Christian. Why can't you just answer the questions? Oh, you're costing me my weight loss surgery and you're ruining everything.
Yeah, you don't want to be this guy. I mean, look at him. He don't even want to be him right now. This is an old clip on the internet, but it shows a certain problem that has to do with this kind of relationship. Them hospital bills and doctor visits may not be that cheap, and she's toxic. Now, I'm not saying all overweight women act like this, but I'm saying it is a possibility. And a big possibility is she's obese. Just remember this though, it's never too late to run away. She'll never catch you.
Run, bitch! Run!
Voice, it's your turn! Stop playing Helldivers, it's gonna do the second part. But Knight, democracy needs me! Oh my god. Look, waifus in fiction really aren't portrayed as fat. They're usually just thick. Damn you fast. Look, you gotta warn her brother before you start zooming everywhere. Blah, blah, blah. Get off the screen. All right, you heard them. It's time to talk about the thick waifus with 2 C's. Hoo-hoo, I was born for this. Now, Knight is correct. Obesity in anime, or simply being fat, is rarely shown. And this is mostly because obesity really isn't that big of an issue in Japan. Japan's obesity rate is less than 5%. While Japan's overweight rate is less than 25% compared to America's 32% and 66% respectively. But I did find a list of waifus online who were considered fat or at least heavier set than most characters. Now, most of these characters are really underage or really not all that attractive, but the last one in the #1 spot shocked me.
Oh my god!
This site is called the 10 hottest chubby anime girls ever. And yes, Lukua is #1. Now, from what I read on this site, this app may have been constructed in Japan, so yeah. Just a bit of a culture shock. They consider Lukua chubby, or at least whoever made this site considers her chubby. Either way, look at this woman. Look at this woman slash dragon. There's only one thing big and chubby about her. Them tickle biggies. Don't make no sense be walking outside of all that hanging out. Oh my. Anyway, Lukia will be an example of thick, not chubby. She's not chubby at all. I don't know what they're talking about on this list. Now, in the #10 spot was Big Mom. She's fat, but she's also old with like 50 kids. And she wasn't always fat. She used to look like this. Again, the rest of the ones on this list are either ugly or minors. So I eventually came to the conclusion that this list sucks. There are better fat waifus out there who are pretty, skinny, and fat. Or at least at the bare minimum, cute. So I eventually made my own list. And the first one I picked was Inko Midoriya, aka Deku's mom from My Hero Academia. I believe in the most recent part of the story, she is age 49, and she's a little bit chubby. I wouldn't say she's overweight, but chubby would describe her perfectly. At the beginning of the story though, she was slim. It was however implied in the story that her change in appearance was a result of the guilt she felt for Midoriya's lack of a quirk. I know I always hate that boy for a reason. But anyway, she's still cute though, so she gets a polite smash. Oh, and also she does have a quirk. It doesn't have an official name, but it's the attraction of small objects. Wow, that's an interesting one. Is that why I'm turned on right now? That's not what that means, you fool. That's basically weak telekinesis. Now move on. Gosh, Dad, why do you hate me? Is it because I'm black? What? Negro, what? All right, I gotta get back to unleashing democracy. So I'm gonna do one more. And I know there may be other overweight waifus, so I'll do them in part 2. But this next one can be considered sexy, fat, a little bit chubby, and thick. And it's Dr. Mei Ling Zhao from Overwatch. Apparently there are some Reddit users that consider her fat or at least a little chubby, at least by Japanese standards. But personally, I think she thick. Little Billy ain't never hurt nobody. Y'all know what I'm saying? She ain't gotta be a model to be a 10. Anyway, as far as the personality goes, she's considered cheerful, creative, and optimistic. And she's a climatologist, which is basically someone who studies weather patterns over a period of time. She got some good head on her shoulders, literally. Voice? What? Rule 34 of her is crazy. All right, fine, whatever. Mei has no cons. She has weather altering devices that can slow opponents and protect locations. Her blasters can release damaging icicles and frost streams, and she can cryo freeze herself to guard against counterattacks. And she can do several other things too, including create an ice wall. But the best thing she can do is online though. Voice? No. I gotta tell him a sauce night. For the Brotherhood, no! Did you just smack me with cheese? Yes, I did. Now you guys leave your opinions and thoughts in the comments, and also let us know who you want in the second part of this video. And while you're at it, tell us your experience of dating a overweight woman. Was it worth it, or do you have regrets? Leave it in the comments. Hey, Voice, stop playing. Hey, yeah! Don't worry, y'all, he ain't dead. He got at least 15 more minutes before that happens, and then he'll be sleeping. You guys have a good day, though. Bye!